Hello, fight fans. The red light is on. That can only mean one thing. It's Thursday. Your boy Goose is here, and I've got my man, my guy, the UFC's Billy Goff. Thanks a lot for talking to it. Those elbows, man. There. Thank God we're not in the same room. I'd have had to change my underwear. But absolute pleasure to have you here, mate. If my voice, as you know, because we spoke off air, my voice is a little bit croaky, but we're rocking the cough syrup, and we're gonna fight through this. So this is a journalist's idea of fighting with a broken arm. So, man, what's been happening with you? What's before we talk about your career and what have you? What's happening with you at the moment? Are you just sort of well earned time with the family, sort of chilling out and what have you?
Yeah, I'm working. My girlfriend just moved in, so we're kind of going through all that, kind of moving her in, changing the house around a little bit, see what she wants to wear and whatnot. I've been making some raised garden beds for her, and I've been trying to hang out with my family, my friends. I'm going to a Renaissance fair tomorrow, and I've been training a little bit, easing back into things, just trying to be smart so I can keep the stride going.
Yeah, that's it. I'm guessing you're one of these guys who sort of completely just likes to tick over in between fights, doesn't like to sort of get out of the routine of sort of your training too much in between sort of your matchups.
Yeah, no, I've been in every week. I didn't do anything the first week, at all. But I went in a couple times the first week after the fight. Then I worked out lightly the next week twice, and then this week I'm going to practice 3 times or almost every day, and I'm working out a little harder. Already sparring, which I probably shouldn't do, but.
But I mean,
it's light. It's very light stuff. So
yeah, just light stuff. I was going to say, man, it's not like your chin needs any more conditioning. We've seen you fight, so But yeah, bro. So let's get into it. I mean, obviously, I know probably a lot more about you than maybe some people who've just seen you from sort of coming on board with the UFC. I actually first saw you fight. It was during the pandemic when it was on a Bellator card against one of the Gracies. How did that feel? Yeah, that must have been pretty special. I think just that surname, it straight away, the lineage that comes with it. That must have been made you feel pretty good, that one.
Yeah, it was cool to fight a Gracie, and I was a huge underdog, and fight got canceled twice, so we had to reschedule twice, so it was this long drawn out thing, and yeah, it was that was a cool whole experience.
Yeah, I can imagine, man. Yeah, this is it. Did he? I'm guessing. Obviously, I remember watching the fight, but I haven't watched it back. I mean, I guess I'm going to try and take him down. Obviously, again, some people won't know you're obviously a quality wrestler. You wrestled for Connecticut and what have you. What did it feel like? Was it simply a case if he gets me down, I'm in trouble, or was it just I'm going to do my thing and I'm going to knock him out?
Against it, no, it was just against it was. I didn't think he was going to take me down. I thought he might have pulled guard, but he wasn't going to take me down. I didn't even think that was going to happen. Just because jiu-jitsu guys don't have good enough takedowns. You're not going to take me down. That's not going to happen.
No.
And I was more so worried about getting caught taking him down, or if I go on top of him when I drop him, or if he pulls me down into guard and we're grappling. I know, I could have grappled with him, but my grappling wasn't as high level as his. So, going into that realm, even though I get to put hands on him and I can wrestle, he had very high level submissions, and I was still relatively new to jiu-jitsu, and so I just had to just avoid that area. It's cooler to punch anyways.
Yeah, complete. I mean, that's it. Yeah, obviously, makes total sense. Getting into, I mean, again, for people who don't know, I'm just going to say, because I've not got enough time to talk about all of your fights today, just pop this man's name into YouTube and just go back, watch some of the Cage Titans fights, obviously the UFC fights and what have you. But in particular, one of my favorites that isn't talked about enough is your Cage Titans fight with Sean Lilly. One of the
Lally.
Lily, is that how you pronounce it?
That's my coach's one of my coach's favorites.
Yeah, I remember watching that fight for the first time, and because he's one of the few people who've gone to the cards with you. I think like coming into your last fight, you were on like 7-fight unbeaten streak, 6 of which were knockouts, and the one decision was against is it Lily? Is that how I pronounce it?
Sean Lally, yeah.
Sean Lally, yeah. So for anybody who's not seen that, go onto YouTube, bob that in. Trust me, you're in for an absolute treat.
He was tough. I'm not a huge fan of watching that fight as much because I remember how I felt in there. Like I didn't feel like I had much gas. Like it's one of my best striking performances for sure. Like all my roles, like I didn't really get hit all that much in that fight, and that's one thing that I have yet to show people, which is kind of frustrating, especially with like my last performance. Like I'm the guy that gets hit first and like hit, take a hit and give a hit, take a hit and give a hit, and I don't want to be that guy. I want to be the guy that's like slipping and rolling,
rolling around.
And I can't. Yeah. I do it. I just sometimes, man, I just get into my fucking tunnel vision, and I'm just.
Oh, I can like honestly. I mean, obviously, I've never fought. I've done a bit of boxing and what have you, and trained a little bit of stuff, but never actually been in somewhere like that. And I think it's like when you guys put on a show for us, I can imagine sometimes like the game plan all of a sudden when you're getting hit just must be like, right, fuck this. I'm just going down like swinging, and it's just a firefight.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, like I say, really, really successful pro career and amateur career. I'm going to bring up basically your first fight in the UFC, which is the Dana White Contender Series. I'm going to butcher the guy's name who you fought. I think it's pronounced Smotiski.
Close. It's Schmortritsky, like that, something like that. I'm sure I'm not the best at pronouncing.
No, I'm with you, mate. I'm not brilliant on some. I'm like DC sometimes on commentary. I just butcher a name. But yeah, I mean, speaking of what you just said about that, when you're in a fight and you're getting hit, what was it like in there at the time? Because how you got up from the knockdown. That would have put 99% of the roster and fighters asleep, and then to come back, for anyone who's not watched it again, Google this man's name and just go and have a look at this fight. The head kick, obviously just out of nowhere, but then 2 minutes later, you've got your hand raised in the octagon after knocking this guy out.
It was, I'm hard to put out, man. I've got a damn good chin, which I'm grateful for because it's helped me a lot. But I wasn't like I didn't see I might have seen a flash. So it's so hard to remember it because it moves so fast, and like I don't remember. I don't remember feeling the kick.
Yeah, totally. I can understand that.
But I remember grappling immediately right afterwards.
Yeah.
Because I had this weird feeling of deja vu in there.
Right.
Which it was just a weird feeling to I've been here before, but I was, and then I was just mad. I was very mad after that. I was like earlier when I said I want to be the guy that's slipping and rolling.
Yeah.
Not eating shots. Who's super slick. Because I got into I first loved MMA when I watched Anders da Silva. And
right.
He was a guy that hit a whole lot.
The man was slick.
Yeah, he's not my favorite fighter. My favorite fighter was Paul Felder because I just think he's tough as shit. Because I heard about him breaking his forearm against Mike Perry, I believe, in the round, and he just kept throwing elbows and he kept throwing punches, and I'm like, that's insane.
I'm totally with you. I absolutely love Paul Felder. So yeah, we're both the same on that.
Yeah, but I want to be cleaner. I want to be slicker. And I was hoping to show that to the world on the Contender Series. And then when I ate a kick, it's like, all right, I was a little angry.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, obviously that kick came from nowhere. It would have been ridiculous to have been able to slip the kick. But the finish, obviously, you've not only the chin, but the finish was sensational. And then to go on after that, and when you were interviewed in the back by Laura Sanko, and straight away she was like, "Oh, you must be over the moon," and obviously you were, but straight away, obviously, with you being almost quite hard on yourself, you said straight away, "I'm not happy with how I started, this, that, and the other." You were almost like your toughest critic, which I really liked. I just thought, "Oh, this guy's for real. He's legit. You know, he doesn't talk any nonsense." And you know, I think for the fans, that was I think that again sold you to the fans. I think straight away we all thought like, yeah, this guy, you know, he brings the heat, but he's also just improve his game with every performance.
Yeah, because that's what I'm trying to do with this last one because I'm still frustrated. Not frustrated with you can be really angry, but you can't let it ruin the moment. And I'm trying to learn that as I go. But it's harder to get so angry and you get worked up. It's harder to bring yourself back down at times. And because I still did a great job. Like I got mad at myself. The funny thing too is like the anger that like I was being so tough on myself. That made me fight, in my opinion, made me fight kind of sloppy after the fact.
Right. And okay. Yeah.
What won me the fight was the pressure and the pace and him getting tired. That constant pressure forward. And like it just constantly throwing shots.
I think that was it when I know for me the pressure right from the off just seemed like, you know, again, you're very come forward. But obviously in fairness to Smolitsky, you know, he did bring pressure and what have you. But again, I just think it was just such a clean shot. I think it was just the way he sort of went down. That was it. And you know, it was just over. Pardon me. So, like I say, I think I don't like the term casuals. The casual fans may not have like maybe even seen that live, but for all of us in the MMA community, we were like straight away, we were like, wow, we won't see. And I think the commentator even said, if Dana White gets up out of his seat, you get in a contract. And Dana White was up out of his seat for that one. So it was just sensational.
It's on a bad day, my fights are still exciting.
Oh, I've seen pretty much all the ones that have been televised and all the ones that I can literally find. I've watched. So there's never, like I said, he rarely got the distance, and you know, they're just exciting. Like you say, even on a bad day for maybe you still get the job done and win. But I think Justin Gaethje said it recently. You know, why don't you wrestle more? And Gaethje said, because they don't pay me as much. And for me, I mean, I can I speak for myself? You remind me of Gaethje in that sense. You can wrestle, but you will grapple, you will wrestle, but you just like to get in there and sort of have a bit of a tear up sometimes. And whether that's the game plan or not, for us fans, it's great to watch.
Yeah. It wasn't the game plan in this last one, and I was wrestling like shit too. I, I hate when I see that too, because I consider myself a wrestler. Like I grew up wrestling.
Yeah.
I loved wrestling.
Yeah.
And to see myself hit a bunch of like shitty, lazy shots is heartbreaking.
And for people who don't know that, I mean, again, I managed to dig up some of your college wrestling stuff as well. Obviously, you know, you are a very high level wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm going to come to your most recent fight, but I will just briefly, because I do just want to mention the your fight in Singapore. Mainly a few reasons. Obviously, you know, I do want to ask you, what was it like to fight out in Singapore? How was that experience for you?
It was wonderful. It was a really cool country. It's like we didn't get to see a whole bunch of it, but we did see a good bit. Went to the zoo, to the aquarium.
Yeah.
And just it kind of went well with like a new country, new promotion that I'm fighting for. Everything was just new, so there was just a ton of chaos.
Yeah, I can imagine. Obviously, you fought Kidishoti, that again very highly sort of touted Japanese prospect. One of the guys there, you know, they're sort of expecting something from. Obviously, very good fighter. And again, it was. It didn't last long, you know. That, and again, for you, being on that card, headlined by Holloway and Korean Zombie, not only a massive card, obviously in Singapore, but obviously around the world for the eyes not only Max Holloway brings, but the eyes that obviously for the Asian community that, you know, the Korean Zombie in particular brings. So massive numbers. And again, just quickly look at my notes, which are scribbled down here, because I don't want to get anyone's name wrong. But in particular, afterwards, after you literally decimated this guy, you were sort of interviewed by Michael Bisping, and obviously you train out of Team Dexter. And I just thought it was lovely that straight away you talked about your teammate. You sort of, all the eyes are on you, and you talked about Austin. And obviously, again, my condolences. He obviously tragically lost his sister. And again, I just wanted to, when I saw that, I thought I can't do this interview without saying, that was awesome. That was amazing. That was such a nice moment. And I just wanted to say, I thought that was very classy, my friend. Very classy.
I appreciate that. But, he's done a lot for me. Like my striking is what it is because of him. He was my first training partner and still is my training partner.
Right. Okay.
When we started, there was not many guys at our gym. Him and I were the only fighters.
Right.
Started and more came, and then they go. But most nights it was just like him and I punching each other back and forth. And for the first like 2 years, he was beating the shit out of me. I didn't know what I was doing. And so yeah, but he's also he's an amazing friend. He just me in every single one of my fights through tons of shit throughout my life. And it was the least I could do for him.
I just thought it was brilliant. And again, you know, shout out to Team Dexter as well. Obviously, the hands speak for themselves. And again, that just reminds me of, it comes on nicely to the next fight against Trey Waters. And again, obviously, I don't know if you've watched it back or listened to the commentary, but I think it was DC said something about the wrestling. You were asked, like, why, when you started wrestling, and you said, oh, I was 8. And they said, oh, you know, how'd you pick it up? Were you any good? And you went, no, I sucked.
Yeah.
Is that true?
When I was a kid, yeah. I mean, I did all right just because I worked hard and I was strong. But I wasn't anything. Like, when you look at wrestlers and you're like, oh, that kid's putting it together. Like, that kid's got something.
Yeah.
And that wasn't me. I was like, all right, that kid, he wants to win. That's about it. I wanted to win. So, and if you just really, really want to win hard enough, you'll beat most people because they don't want to win that hard. But you get a kid who's like putting things together and like can think well on the mat and set stuff up. They're phenoms, man.
Yeah. This is it. I mean, obviously, I think that was again the point. Sort of, it was either DC or Bisping sort of made that. The point was you said, I might, I've just started doing this, but I'm going to make sure eventually I'm absolutely brilliant. And obviously the hard work paid off, and the results speak for themselves. I always think whenever I speak to one of you guys in particular in the UFC, I think people sometimes don't realize how hard it is to actually get to the UFC. And, it's like the top 1% of people, so it's a phenomenal achievement just to make it to the big show, as they say. So I admire the work ethic, my man. But speaking of that fight, and by the way, if anyone does want to fire any questions to Billy, you can do, feel free. The last fight against Trey Waters, I'm not even going to sit on the fence. I'm going to come straight out and say, in fact, I messaged you afterwards and said, you won that. And it's obviously part of the game, but I had you winning. I think a lot of the MMA community had you winning. How? I mean, I don't want to open up any old wounds, mate, at all. But did you think when the scorecards were read out, did you think I've got it?
I wasn't sure because I didn't know what striking numbers were because I wasn't really mentally checked in well enough to be.
Of course. Of course.
I knew I could have won because it was close no matter what. I knew I was hitting him a bunch. I knew I was kicking his leg and his body a bunch. I had cage control. I had the little bit of grappling control. And I felt like I was constantly, like I was dictating the fight the whole time, at least when I was in there. And when you watch it, I was pushing forward the whole time. So I wasn't sure what the strike numbers were because I can't count while getting punched in the face that well.
Yeah, that's very true.
So I went up to Michael Bisping afterwards. I was like, hey, like, what were the strike counts? Like, was I up on strikes? And he was like, yeah, way up.
Yeah.
Like, cool. All right.
Yeah.
And when he said that, I thought I won. I was like, okay, I win then.
Yeah. I mean, what was because I've watched the fight back recently, obviously, as well. But even on the night, I thought
I won that fight 100. When I've watched it back since multiple times. Oh. I won that fight.
How, like, one of the judges scored round one for you, two of them didn't. And in particular, after I rewatched it, I mean, even from the first time, but rewatching it the second time, I was like, how have you scored that for the other guy?
I don't think that was my best performance. I didn't feel the greatest in there.
No.
But I like I said, on a bad day, it's still a good fight. Bad fight. But on and it was just, I felt like I was rushing in there the whole time, which I shouldn't be doing, and I shouldn't feel that way. It's that I got I wasn't in the right place mentally, like focused on the game plan and listening to coaches. I was trying to bring myself back, but then the fight started and I just started rushing, which led me to fight a bit sloppy and make myself more tired. I wasn't listening to my coaches at all. I remember hearing them and wanting to listen.
Right.
I couldn't stop myself from just barreling forward.
I think
it is what it is. That's just, it's a part of the game. It's a shitty lesson to learn because if I want to be a champion one day, if I've got to be able to fight smart and listen to my coaches, no matter how I feel physically or mentally. So it's a shitty lesson to learn, but it's one that I got to learn.
Yeah, I think, I mean, obviously not been a fighter myself. I can only agree with you because I presume that, that's why you have the coaches. But I can understand how hard it must be to, I can't imagine because I've never been in there. But, yeah, when you're in there, it must be so difficult sometimes. You know, at the end of the day, you guys go in there and put your lives on the line for people, and it must be incredibly tough. But I think even though the judges did make a bad decision that night, you were up on the striking stats, and
but it was close regardless, because he had like, so on my face my skin, it's easier to see my skin get red.
Do you know what?
I had visible damage more.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I tore his meniscus. I heard he tore his meniscus.
Yeah.
I tore his meniscus because with those leg kicks. Because I know I puffed it up.
Oh yeah, his leg looked a mess.
Damage wise, and I also rocked him a couple times. And he rocked me too. I didn't ever feel too rocked, and I don't think he ever got too rocked, because none of us ever seemed to be too out of it. But we definitely got flashed. And the only other thing that I could see the judges kind of giving him some more hat off for, like more sway to him, when I'm shooting those like kind of those long shots.
Right.
I went 1 for 12 on shots, which is very upsetting for me. But as I'm fighting and I'm kind of diving at those legs, it can look like I'm trying to get away from the strikes, which means that his striking is working better than mine.
Right.
But that wasn't the case, and I don't think it's fair to say that. So I don't know if that was the reasoning. I'm just saying that could be a thing.
It's really funny, because one of the things I made in my notes actually was something that I was going to even say. I'm not saying identical, but Nate Diaz is known for cutting and like his skin like really showing the damage.
Yeah.
And I thought straight away when I watched it live afterwards, I thought, is it purely because the damage on Billy's face? But the way it just looked worse, possibly, and it maybe wasn't showing as much. You know, but again, because a lot of the damage was on the leg. But both you guys were busted up, it's fair to say. So I don't, for me, I didn't look at either of you and think, oh, well, Trey Waters is going to win because there's more damage. I just thought, I was just a bit stunned, especially with the round one in particular. I thought that was hands down your round. I didn't even think it was close.
Yeah, because I took him down and I took his back.
Yeah, twice.
Yeah. So it was, I agree.
Yeah. But it's like you say, these things happen, and what have you. I thought you were super classy in the way, you just sort of got on with it and what have you. And, but I think, every right to be aggrieved. But honestly, the buzz on Twitter, because again, don't know if you know, Dana White went live on Instagram during the fight. Mm-hmm. And was like, have you seen what is going on right now? And he was like, there's two guys, Billy Goff, Trey Waters on the prelims. One of them's like a giant. He's like 7 foot tall. And everybody was just going nuts. And that was the other thing, I think people were just, regardless of who won the fight, everyone just was like straight away, give those guys 50K. It was just like insane.
Yeah.
So,
and that's like, I enjoy fighting in that pace. I enjoy fighting just because I'm here to hurt you. So I'm going to come hurt you as much as I can. So I'm going to fight as fast as I can. However, I need to be able to go from like, I don't sit at 100. I got to sit at like 60 or 80 and have little upticks.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't. I play a lot of squash, which isn't like fighting, but obviously it's quite a physical cardio-wise. You do have to have some cardio, and I can't imagine how you pace yourself in the fight. Sometimes, like it must be so difficult. I can't imagine how hard it is.
It's all dependent upon your cardio.
Yeah,
and I also didn't feel the greatest, but I made myself more tired than I had to be. My coaches kept yelling for me to stop throwing kicks, like big kicks to the body and to the head. And
right.
I heard them too. I remember hearing them in the cage, and I just felt like I couldn't stop throwing them.
Yeah.
I didn't have as much control over what I was doing.
Yeah, I can say, mate. I think any of us would give you a break on that. It must be incredibly difficult sometimes in the environment. Like I say, I think, like I say, even that particular fight, I would go back and watch 10, 50 times. It was. I don't think it really mattered who won the fight in the end. What was funny was when I watched it live, the cards when the fight stopped, Trey actually fell over. Like he was just completely knackered, and he actually and you walked off, and you're obviously tired. But I thought straight away, I was like, wow. I was like, those two guys have just left everything in the cage, and
he hats off to him for surviving that pace, because I know I put it on him, and he's not a quitter. That's for damn sure.
There seemed to be quite. After the fight, I mean, he was very respectful towards you. I mean,
he's a good dude. I talked before the fight too. He's a good dude. I like Trey, and like when I say I won and like this and this, or like I did this and I don't think he did enough of this. It's never personal. It's just like that's how I'm looking at the fight.
Completely.
I would train with him. He seems like a cool guy.
Yeah, for sure. And that, like I say in his interview afterwards, straight away I was like, yeah, I like that guy. I know sometimes shit talk and needle can happen, and sometimes it does bring the fights along. But yeah, straight away he was just like, wow, total respect to Billy. That guy's an absolute tough dude, absolute animal. So yeah, again, it was just nice that what went on in those 15 minutes, it didn't need any of that. It was just two guys, two trained professionals, two athletes just throwing down, and it was, like I say, one of my best fights of this year so far, for sure.
Nice, I appreciate that.
No worries, man. Anyway, I've kept you for so much longer than I planned to because we've just been gassing on. I'm gonna fire because my son Leo is watching this.
What's up?
There you go. And he loves watching the MMA. He's a big soccer fan. But he actually asked me, he said, can you ask him, do you have any pre-fight rituals or any superstitions and things you particularly do before the fight?
So I've always, for the longest time, I kept routine and superstition out of it because the way that I looked at it was it's all so chaotic. And if I'm just used to chaos all the time,
yep,
and I'll never get thrown off.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I still keep that the superstition doesn't matter because if my routine gets messed up, then I've had people play the wrong song for my walkout song, not play a song, and so you got to be able to adjust. So I was happy to not have a routine for the longest time, but I've taken more of a routine to keep myself mentally focused on the game plan so that I can better handle all the nerves.
Yeah, of course. No, I mean, that makes total sense. I mean, you're going into chaos, aren't you? So if building up to it, if it is a bit chaotic and you're used to that, you don't need to change it. I think, in fact, it'll only prepare you better for the fight, I would think, because you're already sort of going at such a pace.
Yeah, and I always do hot yoga for my weight cuts.
Oh wow.
Top of other things, I'll do this on. I don't do the whole weight cut in yoga, just because I do yoga all the time and it keeps me limber. So I do that to be limber for Saturday. The food wise, I don't have anything. I don't watch a specific movie. I really do enjoy watching Cinderella Man, but it's not a part of the routine.
Great movie.
Watching it.
Great movie.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is a great movie. Definitely one of my favourites. Russell Crowe is awesome in it. So, very last one, and then I'll let you go get back to what you're doing, mate. I'd like to say, really appreciate the time. A friend of mine, Amy, she trains a bit of MMA jiu-jitsu. You've very much got into it over the last year or so. She just asked, during your training, how do you sort of separate do you always train like a specific area on a certain day, or will you like mix it up, or any advice on anything like that? What do you think works best for you?
So Monday, Wednesday, Friday are more striking based. This is my training schedule. Tuesday are more grappling based.
Right. Okay.
But the striking will have grappling mixed in.
Okay.
So just just striking, and then we'll add in takedowns and whatnot. And grappling will add in little gloves, so we'll add in ground and pound and whatnot. Not crazy hard.
No.
But we mix it up wherever we can, especially when we're in fight camp.
Right.
But for any advice, I would just mixing things up should never be on the training, on who's training. It's never on me to mix things up.
Yeah. It's
on my coach. My coach, he's the one that runs everything. He's the one he decides what we're gonna do when, because he knows what he's doing. I don't know the ideal training schedule. I've only been training for so long.
I think that does seem to be a theme. I think most fighters have asked the question to. It is listen to your coaches. That's what these guys do.
Yeah, he's had his whole fight career. He's made mistakes. He's seen all the ups and downs of fighting. He knows what to do.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. Right, we're going to leave on one question because I've kept you about 20 minutes longer than planned. I know, brother. I appreciate it. The weekend, Dustin, Islam. Give us a pick. Can Dustin do it?
I hope so, man.
So do I.
My heart's rooting for Dustin Poirier.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure.
If I had to bet on it money wise, I would.
I know. It's I wasn't on the team, but Fight Bananas had Dustin on a week or two back talking about it, and I think everybody who's either not from Dagestan or is a big fan of the Khabib Islam team, it would just be amazing, wouldn't it, for him to do it after such a great career. So will you be watching the card or?
Probably.
Yeah.
It depends. I don't know if I want to stay up till midnight to watch it. But we'll see.
Yeah. Actually, there is one last real quick one. If you got time for one more.
Yeah. I got you.
I always ask people, obviously you train out of Team Dexter and what have you. I'm over in the UK, so I know quite a lot about the regional scene here. Who's a name of a fighter for me to, or for people watching to maybe go and check out, who you think is someone that is sort of coming through at the moment? Is there anyone you've seen in particular that you're sort of impressed by?
I mean, firstly, I'm going to say my teammates: Eric Zane, Randy Francis, Austin Shala.
Team Dexter.
Oh yeah, they're doing great.
Lovely, man.
Regional scene.
You've already given us a few.
Yeah. There we go. That works.
You've already given us a few. That works for me, man. That works for me. Thanks so much, Billy. I'll let you get back to what you're doing. Thanks for being on Fight Bananas. I'll speak to you again offline at some point, I'm sure. And really appreciate your time, mate. Have a great weekend.
Likewise. See ya.
Thanks, bro.